with XPaths and CSS selectors. Okay, now what is XPath? What is CSS selector? All right, let's talk about that. Fine, I'll make a new Java project. Okay, known as day 5. In Java build path, I'm going to add the jar files. Okay, all right. Now, what we have is that we did yesterday that we went to a URL and it was easy. We found elements with ID and name. Okay, this was working perfectly fine, but not every time every element has got an ID or a name. Fine. For example, okay, if you visit any website, okay, say I visit uh, bbc.com. Okay, and in bbc.com, all right, if I investigate, suppose any link, say if I investigate this link, okay, if I investigate this particular link, right, then this link you can see it's got no ID, no name. So not every element on a page will have an ID or a name. Okay. And when this happens, we use XPath or CSS selector. Okay. Now let's briefly discuss about like what is XPath. Okay, let's start with XPath. There are two types of XPaths. One is known as the complete XPath or absolute XPath. Other is known as the partial XPath. Okay, now the thing is that XPath, if you talk about what is basically an XPath, it is like the address of the element on the web page. Okay, like you might be having an address, that address uniquely identifies you. Okay, similarly, XPath is also an address. All right, now say, suppose if I look at the link over here, sign in. This is the link. Okay, luckily it's got an ID as well, but what if the ID was not present for this link? What if the ID was not present? Then we would have to make XPath. Now let's talk about complete XPath first. Okay, this is the span tag. All right, this span tag is present somewhere inside the root tag, which is the HTML tag. HTML is the base tag, always. It is the starting tag, right? If you hit Control F, you will see a small bar coming out at the bottom in which you can type something. Okay, if I type HTML inside it, it will highlight this tag in yellow. Okay, inside the HTML tag, you have got two tags, head tag and body tag. You are interested to go inside the body tag. Okay, these are the two tags, head and body, which are of the different types. And both these tags are inside the HTML tag. Okay, you are interested to go in the body tag, right? So you will write slash body. So you reach the body tag. Now inside the body tag, there are many tags parallel to each other. You are interested to go inside the header tag because there are the sign in link is somewhere inside the header tag, right? So you will write slash. Now inside the header tag, this is the division tag, it's expanded. Okay, there is just one division tag. So you will write slash div. So you reach here. Inside this particular division tag, there are two parallel division. There are two tags which have the same name div. Okay, you want to go inside the first name because the sign in link is present somewhere inside the first one. Okay, so you will write slash div bracket 1. All right. If you have to go in the second division tag, okay, there are two division tags, right? If you had to go inside the second one, you would have written slash div 2. This would have gone in the second one, but I want to go in the first one. Inside the first one, there are 5 tags. Okay, you want to go into this one. This is actually the second division tag out of these 5 tags. First, third, and fifth one are again div tags. Okay, right. And you want to go inside the third one. All right. So you will write slash div 3. This is the third one. Okay. And hold on. Not the third one. I'm sorry, the second one. You want to go inside the second division tag, which is this one. Inside the second division tag, you want to go in. There is just one div, one script tag, one anchor tag. You want to go inside the div tag. So slash div. And then inside it, there is an anchor tag A and then a span tag. So this tag holds the text sign in. Fine. So if you use this particular XPath, it will represent the sign in link, and this is known as the complete XPath. Okay, now or the absolute XPath. Now there are two things. And the first thing is that we refrain ourselves from using complete XPaths because if something changes at say the root level of the document, say a new tag gets added or something happens, right? Then we will have to change the complete XPath. Okay, so we refrain ourselves from using the complete or the absolute XPath. Okay, right. So let me just this file over here, rename it to BBC. Go to bbc.com and we will set some implicit weight. Okay, and now I'm going to give the command driver dot find element by the XPath, and I'm going to give this complete XPath. Okay, that is driver dot find element by this complete XPath dot click. Right. So when you run this program, it should go and click on this. You see that, right? Okay. Now there is no need to calculate the complete XPath the way I did. That is, I did it manually from the root of the document or something. You can simply right click on the element, inspect the element. The element will get, say, this is the element, right? Then right click on this particular element. You'll get a menu like this. Go to copy and go to copy full XPath. Fine. Full XPath basically means the absolute XPath, and it will get copied to your clipboard and you will get the same XPath. You can remove this slash. You will get the same XPath as earlier. And this is valid for all the browsers. Okay, the same XPath will work on all the browsers because actually the page source remains the same across the browsers. Okay, sorry. All right. Now you have partial XPath as well. Now, what is partial XPath? Partial XPath is something which starts with a double slash. Okay, partial XPath always will start with a double slash. Okay, like for example, say I go to any website, say I go to Zoho only, and I inspect the username field, right? And if you inspect this field, it's an input whose ID is login ID, right? And name is login ID, right? Now, if you right click on it, you'll get the option to copy the XPath. This means the partial XPath basically. The bottom one is the full XPath. Okay, so if you copy the partial XPath, you will get an XPath like this. Now, what does this XPath mean? Okay, basically, when you have to use it in code, you have to replace the double quotes with the single quotes. Okay, now double slash star means all elements on the page, all the tags on the page. Okay, if you go to the browser, you hit Control F on this page and you write double slash star. So it will say that 1 out of 1832 elements. Okay, so basically it means that there are 1832 tags on the web page. Okay, so this basically means that all the elements on the web page. If I write double slash A, that means A is the tag name for link. So this is all the links on the page. Okay, so if I write a double slash A over here, so there are 293 anchor tags links on the web page. Okay, so it will highlight all of them. Right now, if I write double slash star, that means all the elements on the page. And out of all the elements on the page, give me the element whose ID is login ID. So this XPath, if you just copy this as well and take it to Zoho and hit Control F and paste it. So this says that 1 out of 1 element, it boils down to 1 element and it highlights. If you click on this down arrow, it will highlight the text field as well. Fine. Okay, so this is what the partial XPath is. Fine. Now it's based on the ID of the element and we are lucky we got the ID of the element over here. Okay, if I say go to this forgot password link, this is the forgot password link, and I right click on it and I copy the XPath, the partial XPath. Now this link has got no ID, so it builds the partial XPath something like this. This link anchor tag has got no ID, but this anchor tag is inside the division tag, which has the ID forgot password. So it starts building the XPath from this nearest element which has an ID. So it jumps from anchor tag to the div tag and it finds that fine, the div tag has an ID. So it starts to build the XPath from here. That double slash star, that is out of all the elements. Or you can also write double slash only div. That is out of all the div tags, get me the div tag whose ID is forgot password. Slash A, that means under that there is a anchor tag. Okay, right. Now out here, if you have any questions, then please guys let me know your questions if you have any questions.
Is there any chance that we get two items? Yeah, we have put the XPath, but we are getting two. So how can we
Yes,
find? one absolute.
Yeah, you have to make the XPath in such a way that it boils down to a single element. Okay, there are chances, yes, you can get two, but eventually you have to then figure out ways to boil down to one of them. Okay, gradually, with practice, you will come across these scenarios as well, and you will realize how to do that. Okay,
Okay.
yeah. So there are possibilities, but with practice, you'll come to know. Okay. Now, suppose if I look at the real link over here, right? And if I copy the partial XPath for this, it copies this, that there is a element whose ID is this, right? So double slash star, whose ID is this. So it actually starts. This is actually the link. This link has got no ID. So it jumps to this li tag. This li tag is also got no ID. So it jumps to one more tag ul. Okay, it's also not got any ID. Right. So it keeps on jumping above. Okay, and then it looks at this division tag, and this division tag is having the ID. So it starts to build the XPath from here. Okay, it goes to the nearest tag which has the ID. But what if the ID is not there? What if the nearest tag is not having any ID? Then what will you do? Okay, suppose it keeps on traversing and it finds no ID. In that case, it will give you the complete XPath automatically. It will start from the HTML tag and give you the complete XPath. Hold on, I think it is. Hold on. Yeah, suppose this is the link, rediff link. Okay, and if I copy the normal XPath, partial XPath, it will get me XPath like this. It gives me the complete XPath. And the only reason for this is that it actually calculates the XPath and keeps on traversing above, but there is no element which has an ID. So it starts from the root of the document. So this is basically XPath. There are two types, complete and or absolute, and one is the partial. We prefer to use the partial one or two times. You can use complete as well. That is not a problem. Complete XPath is very accurate. At times, sometimes what happens, the partial XPath looks correct, but it's not working. So in that case, the complete XPath works for sure. Okay, but don't use all complete XPaths in your project. The reason is if something changes at very root level or something of the pages, then all the XPaths you will have to change. Okay, using it once or twice is fine. That's not a problem. Okay, now um, the command remains the same, driver.find element by the XPath. You can give complete XPath or partial XPath over here and it will work. Okay, and hold on. Practically, practically, when we work with our own custom XPaths. Okay, now what is a custom XPath? Custom XPath is something which you yourself make. Okay, like for example, this is Zoho. If I get the XPath of the email ID field, okay, the inspector always gives me the XPath based on the ID. For the email ID field, it gave me this particular XPath. Right. Or I can also write, instead of star, I can write input tag. That is, this is the tag name input for the username text field whose ID is login. I can also write like this. That is, out of all the input tags on the web page, get me the input tag whose ID is login ID. Now, there is no need to always use ID. There are other attributes as well. For example, the name is login ID for this particular element, right? So you can write whose name is that there is an input tag whose name is login ID. You copy this, you paste it. This is also valid. Okay, but the only thing is this inspector in Chrome tries to build based on the ID, but you can use yourself. You can create custom XPaths and you can use your own attributes. Okay, for example, taking another example, say this is the input tag. This input tag is inside this particular span tag. Okay, and this span tag is inside this particular div tag whose ID is get username. Right. So you can build the XPath like this, that there is a division whose ID is get username. Right. Under it, you have a span tag. And under the span tag, you have one label tag, one select tag, one span again, and one input. Okay, this is the input tag which we want. Okay, so you have this input tag. You can check out this. You can always verify your XPath. You can paste the XPath in the text field, and it should point down to a unique element, 1 out of 1. And you see that? So it's not that you have to build your XPaths from Chrome. You can also make it yourselves. Okay. For example, I had told you in BBC, we looked at this, say the link reel, and I had taken the XPath of this element, and the XPath of this element was coming from here. You should always use single quotes. So obviously, if I write driver.find element by this particular XPath, it is going to extract the element. Okay. Right. Now, if you look at this anchor tag, it is inside a li tag whose class is orbnavreal.com. Okay.
Ashish, I am
Yes.
unable to see your screen. Yeah, now it's visible.
Okay. Okay. It's fine, right? Okay. So right now there is this li class tag whose class is orbnavreal.com. Okay. So you hit Control F and you write double slash li whose class is this. So this is highlighting the li tag, and you can write slash a. There is an anchor tag inside it. But if I'm building this way, it says one out of two elements present. So you have to be little careful when you are building your own XPaths. It says that two elements will have this XPath. If you click on this down arrow, the other element is at the footer level. Okay. And the first element is at the header level in the menu. So although the XPath is correct, okay, but it is not boiling down uniquely to the element. If you write driver.find element command, driver.find element will use the first one which is on the top. Okay, so you have to be little careful when you have got class attribute, especially. The class attribute is not unique. ID can be unique, name can be unique, but class is not unique. If you go to Rediff and if you go to the money section, say, right, or you go to flipkart.com, hold on, you go to any website, hold on just a minute, it's not happening. Okay, yeah. If you explore this website and say if you go to the shopping section, right, then it's slow. Hold on, guys. Right, this is the shopping section, and these are the buy now buttons over here. Okay, if you inspect the buy now button on this web page, okay, then obviously if I look at the first buy now button, And if I copy the XPath of this button, then the Chrome inspector will give this XPath. If I look at the second buy now button and copy the XPath, then Chrome inspector will give you this XPath. There is a slight difference of this number, right? But always remember, like the elements which have the same look and feel definitely have some common property. Okay, you have this buy now button is basically a span whose class is product buy now. Okay, if I look at the second buy now button, it is also a span whose class is product buy now. Because all the buy now buttons are span tags with the same class. Okay, generally the elements which have the same look and feel, they have the same class. Okay, so you can hit Control F and type double slash span whose class is, sorry. If you look at this buy now button, whose class is product buy now. You can type this. Sorry. So you get 104 elements. You get all the buy now buttons. So this XPath is also good. It will help you to extract multiple elements. So you can have one XPath which can represent multiple elements. And you can also have multiple XPaths. The opposite is also true for one element. Like for login field only, I made so many XPaths. Okay, right. So this is how this thing works. All right. Now, always remember the class attribute is something which will not be unique. When you are building an XPath based on the class, sometimes you get a unique class attributes. So if you're getting it, then it's fine. But if you're not getting it, then you have to be careful. Okay. So custom XPaths we use a lot. At times you get very big XPaths, even partial XPaths when you're using Chrome. But you can shorten them by using custom XPaths. Like for the first product buy now button, I was getting this big XPath, but this single XPath is representing all the buy now buttons on the page. How will you write the code to extract all the buy now buttons? That we are going to discuss later on, not right now. Okay, but you have to be a little careful with XPaths and you should always verify them. Whenever you make your XPaths, please verify them from here, from the bottom line. Okay, the code, it remains the same. Like we had written the code for the sign in link with the complete XPath. Now, if you look at the BBC homepage and if you look at the sign in link, this is the sign in link. Okay, you can also get the partial XPath for this link. The partial XPath is this, and can write like this, that is driver dot find element by the XPath this, dot click. So this and both the lines will produce the same output, but out here I'm using the partial XPath. Okay, now you can also try to do some exercises which will help you in in the implementation. Hold on, I'll tell you. Let this thing get over. And always remember that whenever you launch the browser, the immediate line after launching the browser should be that you are setting your implicit wait time. Okay, immediately after launching the browser, please set your implicit wait time. See, it's working. This is the most important line. The programs they fail if you don't put the implicit wait, and as beginners, people make this mistake. Okay, these three lines are mandatory for every program. That is, you launch the browser, give the implicit wait, and then give the URL of the page. Okay, then you can write your own code. Okay, now um, try and do one thing. Go to say Facebook, go to Google, try to type something over here. Okay, and click on the search button. All right, so do this exercise. Are you guys able to hear me? My network has gone slow.
We are able to hear
Yes.
you, Ashish.
Okay, just a minute. Basically, search on Google for something. Okay, and um, go to Facebook, log in into your Facebook account, and try to reach the friends page, the page on which all your friends are listed. Okay, try to write that script. That's gonna help you out. Okay, I'm stopping here for today. Actually, I'm unable to speak for a longer time. It's very irritating in my throat. Okay, so otherwise I would have carried on. Fine, but we are going good, right? Slow and steady. So we meet tomorrow. Try to do these exercises. All right, I'll mail you the recording. I did not do it yesterday. I'll mail you both the recordings today in another 2-3 hours. Okay, so yep.
Ashish,
All
just
right.
one.
So, yeah, yeah.
Um, uh, could you please go back to the code because I was not
Yeah.
there yesterday. So where you have set the property for the URL means the extension URL,
Extension URL means
like the web driver is goes to new Chrome driver, and then we
I have
set the
set it in
properties.
my I have already set it in my environment variables.
Okay,
Okay, I have. If you set it in the environment, you know about it, right? If you
not about that one.
if you go to my computer properties, fine. Go to advanced system settings. Go to environment variables. There is a
Okay,
variable known as path.
okay,
Okay, in this variable, I have given this path D drive drivers.
okay,
Okay, in this path, I have kept all the EXEs. You can set it up. If you set it up this way, that you keep all the driver EXEs in one of the paths and give the path in the environment variables, then you
okay,
don't have to write it in the code, but you'll have to restart your PC after doing this.
okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And just one more point. This I'm not receiving any mail for the call
No,
and
you'll get it. You'll get it tomorrow. Okay. there is some issue in Teams. It's not sending emails properly to everyone, but I think it will be resolved today. Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah. So okay then, guys. Right. So
Ashish, one point
yeah.
actually. Sorry if I missed on this
Yes. Yes.
point. Uh, just want to understand, like, where are these codes getting checked in, like, in the class codes?
I have not. I'm not checking in. I'll be uploading them on the drive. Okay, and I'll
Mm-hmm,
share
mm-hmm.
the drive link.
All right, all okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you. So
Uh,
anybody with any other questions?
yes, Ashish. I have lost the practice links which you have shared earlier, so you can share them again.
Okay, if anyone can share it because I don't have it on this PC with